Good afternoon again. My name is Judy Devine, and I am a national consultant with Sadlier, and I'll be the moderator for this afternoon's session with John Collins. John Collins is a national religion consultant for Sadlier. Over his career, he has been an elementary school teacher, director of curriculum and instruction, with responsibility for professional development, an elementary school principal, and a longtime catechist and DRE. Today, John is here to speak about We Believe and We Live Our Faith summer models. But before we get started, a few housekeeping notes. Everyone is on mute to minimize the background noise. If you have questions, please type them in the question box. We are recording the presentation and will do our best, as long as technology cooperates, to get this up for you to view again and share with your colleagues. Those of you who are live with us today online and stay through the webinar will receive a certificate by Friday or at the latest Monday of next week. It will be sent to the email address you registered with, and that's important to remember. So if you have that as spam or something of that nature, please remember it will come to that address. Also, John will be, you will also receive handouts, which John will talk about during the presentation. So you will receive those also. Now, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to John, who will present to us today We Believe and We Live Our Faith summer models. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Judy, for that nice introduction. Very happy to be with you today. You see my picture there. You get to see who's this person speaking. I live in Massachusetts, where today it's in the 60s. It's a kind of a nice day at this time of year, so we're going to relish and enjoy those good days that we have. A lot of people these days are looking at different models of providing faith formation for us, for our children, and trying to respond to the changing demands of families and everything else that's going on. And so Sadlier has long been a program used in a school year model, which is a week-to-week kind of model, which probably many of you are familiar with. But Sadlier can also be used as in a summer model, in a 2-week, with difficulty, I think it could be a 1-week program. So we're going to talk today about using Sadlier in a summer model and some of the concerns and decisions and so forth that need to be made in terms of that. Some of the things we'll focus on today are We Believe and We Live Our Faith in a summer program resources. And by the way, We Believe, kindergarten through grade 6. We Live Our Faith, grades 7 and 8. And both of these are our Catholic Identity editions. Some of you may still have Project Disciple editions, but basically we'll be looking at the programs. Let's see here. We'll be looking at planning and scheduling considerations and options. I think this just doesn't happen. There's a lot of thought and preparation that goes into doing it. Some of you may already be using a summer model and have tuned in to think about what might I not be thinking about, what could I consider, oh, I never knew about that. So some of you might already be using the summer program and hopefully get some new ideas today. We'll look at enhancing the summer program using Catholic Identity retreats and other online resources, and look at best practice to support summer catechesis. That's also important. In thinking of Sadlier in a summer model, I think one of the things we need to think about is, I'm assuming that this is your faith formation core program. So we're talking about having a core program of faith formation. It could be an alternative to the traditional school year program. So in addition to having the week-to-week classes, the schedule issues, you might also offer a summer program of 2 weeks. Or is a summer model the only option for parents, where it's a 2-week model and that's all there is, and there probably are some other events and activities that families and students participate during the school year. So I think there's the thing to keep in mind. I'm thinking faith formation core program. A summer model is not Vacation Bible School. I think a lot of people do Vacation Bible School, but when you think of Vacation Bible School, they've already had a week-to-week model of faith formation. Vacation Bible School is something extra. It's supplementary, okay? And there's a lot of fun and activity and so forth that go along with that. I'm not saying anything's bad about it. It's just that if you're thinking faith formation program as a core program in the summer, don't think of it as Vacation Bible School. There has to be a lot of intentional decisions made as to what the program is going to look like, especially if it's not a supplementary or enrichment program to something they've already had. So I think that's something to keep in mind. So what are some, I'm going to go through just thinking and brainstorming myself for you. What are the things to need to consider if some of you are thinking of this for the first time? First, is this an option to a school year model, or is it the only option for parents? And if that's the case, if parents can't come during a summer model, would they then have to homeschool their own children? Okay. Is it 1 week or 2 weeks? Personally, I think realistically speaking, 2 weeks makes more sense. 1 week, even if it's 1 week mornings, half day, or 1 week full day, it's a lot trying to compact or into a short time frame, and I think it's going to be more intense. I think the benefits, I think, are greater in a 2-week program where it's not as intense, that things can be stretched out over a period of time. Again, my personal preference. And again, is it morning or full day? If it's full day, how are you going to do lunch? Okay. Is this the it as far as expectations? All you have to do is come to the 2 weeks during the summer, or are there scheduled events during the school year, probably liturgical related to our liturgical year, where families are expected to participate? Perhaps Advent, Lent, maybe monthly, and maybe in the course of a year, if there's something monthly, are there a certain number of activities that families are expected to participate in? And you'll see why I think that's a key piece to consider. Are you doing this in your own parish? And if so, is it going to be offered more than once to give parents options? Right, that's something. Or will you be collaborating with another parish, giving scheduling options to parents? Again, I think once you make a change, people are going to say, oh, what does this mean for me, and what's someone else down the road doing? So I think that's something to consider. You're doing it yourself, you're going to be in collaboration. I know in a number of parts of our country, up in my area, a number of our parishes are in collaboratives now, and so how can that work to your advantage in terms of options for parents? And again, will there be a homeschool option if a summer model doesn't work? Is that going to be something parents will have a choice? What are the expectations for parents, families? You need to spell everything out without sounding authoritarian, and I really mean that. I think we can say what our expectations are, let parents know that you're trying to help them by providing this option, given the changing schedules and the demands and sports and just families and work schedules and school schedules. There are so many things that we try to juggle these days, and our faith formation is one of them. But I think trying to let parents see that you're doing this is to try and provide an option for them and thank them for their support, I think is going to be key to being successful. What happens if? I think also you need to think of other scenarios depending upon what you're doing. If you're just doing it in your parish, and if someone can't come, what is their option? You know, if you have a space issue in terms of the available classrooms or class spaces that you can provide faith formation during the summer, especially air conditioning is an issue, I would think, depending upon what part of the country you're in. What if you have lots of people who want to do that, if you're doing this for the first time, and you can't accommodate everyone? Is that going to be a reason to provide a second option, another 2-week session at a different time? Or how will you make decisions on who gets into the summer program if you have limitations? I think you have to come up with some of those scenarios that are going to be unique to everyone's situation. And I think the key one, and it goes back to what I referred to earlier, how will students and families feel part of the parish community during the school year? We can certainly have an intensive faith formation program in the summer for 2 weeks, but faith formation continues all year long, and how do we involve and include them so that they are able to feel a part of what's going on in their parish? So I think that's a good key point to keep in mind. What should you do? And again, it would be great if I had all the answers for everybody, but I think it's the kind of thing that you really have to sit down and with staff in the parish and catechists and some parents, if you're going to make this change and add this, to talk about some of the things I've been bringing up and say, so what do we want to do? How is it going to work? And then you'll be able to get that information out to parents. So here's just what's your plan going to be, and this is just like a quick down and dirty kind of way of looking at it. So what we are going to do, we are offering this 2-week summer program as an alternative or an option to the school year program. It will be 2 weeks with 2 different sessions offered to accommodate different schedules. Faith formation is an ongoing process. It's not confined to 2 weeks in the summer. And so during the year, we're going to have special events and gatherings to bring everyone together and provide an opportunity for the children to participate in some parish activities. And many of these will be related to our celebration of liturgical year and will enhance what they're learning in the classroom. Okay, I think that's a key thing in order to garner support from parents, not just for the summer program, but to get them to come to the things that hopefully they will participate in during the year. Give them the dates. Here are the dates. You're invited to all, but we're going to require or expect attendance at how many different events over the course of the year, and how do you document that? I think that when getting your plan out, it's important how you portray your program. Think of what you're offering to parents. You're extending an invitation to a different model, and I think, again, tell parents that you're trying to meet the needs and schedules, but we still want to have a quality program for your children. And I think I want to stress that again. If you think for a minute, with Sadlier, we have had Sadlier for a long time, and our week-to-week catechetical or religious education program. And Sadlier it's a quality program with lots to offer and a very comprehensive faith formation program. If you're offering 2 weeks in a summer, those children should have access to the same quality program that Sadlier provides. And so, again, as I said before, it's not Vacation Bible School. It has to be a very intentional thought process about what lessons are we going to pick and how we're going to structure it so those kids have the same quality program in the summer that children during a school year would have. And again, the duration. This is where some of those details would come in that would be part of your planning that you would share. Is it 1 or 2 weeks? Is it Monday through Friday? Is it 9 to 12 or 8:30 to 11:30? Or, and I'm putting full day, some full day things in blue, is it going to be 9 to 2:30, a full day format? I think I've heard of some people who do full day 9 to 2:30 or 9 to 3 for 1 week. And again, personally, I think that's a long stretch because you're probably going to fit in at least 2 classes in the morning and 2 classes in the afternoon, and each of those is probably covering 2 classes. It's a lot of content in a short time. So, I mean, I certainly think it can work. It's going to take a lot more effort, and you'll see with some resources that I'm going to show you on the slides that you will be getting in your handout that I think can help make it work. As you're planning, you need to, get your time, then plug in set times when you might have a snack or full day. You're going to have lunch probably, a break, a gathering, gathering at the beginning and the end. Will everyone be coming together at the beginning in a hall? Will they come together at the end? What will happen there? Those are opportunities for whole group quick instruction on something, and I'll share that with you. Snacks. Will children bring a snack, or are you going to provide that? Remember, we have to consider and think of allergies. And depending on the number of students that you have in your program, you may have to stagger your schedule a little bit for snack and break times with younger children, older children, different times, just to manage it. After you plug in those set times, beginning, ending, lunch, breaks, and so forth, then plug in any special activities that you want to do over the period of time. And for special activities, I'm going to say that's where you could use the Sadlier Catholic Identity Retreats that are in both the We Believe and We Live Our Faith program. There are 4 in each. And one of the documents you're going to get is helpful in planning that because there are 4 retreats based on the 4 pillars, and every grade has the same retreat. Let's say on Creed, every grade has a different theme they do, but it's all the focus on the theme of Creed from the pillars. So that might be one way to organize a special retreat day around a certain theme, but you need to plug that in. Craft. I think crafts and activities are good, but minimal. Remember, it's not a vacation Bible school. All you're doing is crafts. Music and singing. Maybe the music director in the parish or someone who does music, guitar, piano, could come in. There could be a sing-along with some songs at different grade levels or as a whole group. And so when you start to plug in some of these special things, what's left? Probably 2 sessions for lessons, 45 to 60 minutes each. And I'm thinking, again, in a 3-hour period, you might get 2 45 to 60-minute lessons that you could plan. And again, I say try to allow for an hour for each lesson if you can. Sometimes it has to be a little shorter. That's why I'm saying 45 to 60. An hour is great because it allows opportunity for engaging kids, not just reading a book. Hopefully that's not going to be what it is just reading a book for a summer program. If lunch, do students bring their own? Again, remembering allergies. I would think that that's what would happen. Will there be a parent and a child day or time, maybe the last class, where the parents might be invited? They could go to the classroom where the classroom would have a showcase of something the students have learned, maybe a play they have acted out, maybe a project they did. Will it be a whole group? And so forth. So that's a possibility that parents would come with their own children on that last class. And what lessons are you going to pick? What are you going to do? Well, it's obviously Sadly, as we believe and we live our faith, Catholic identity lessons, of course. We're going to look at those lessons and see which ones we can pick. Now, the retreats could be considered lessons. I counted them as a special activity, but they could be counted as lessons as well, too, depending upon the length of time you have and so forth. So I'm going to go actually to the website to show you where these things are in case you haven't gone there yet to see it. If you go to www.webelieveweb.com, which is where I'm going to go, and this is the opening page, and it's very simple. We can pick any grade level. I'm going to pick grade 5, and type of visitor. I'm going to be a catechist or teacher. I believe catechetical director, there's where you would fall in as well too. And what are you looking for? I want the resources that are available to me. So we're going to go to that page. And then this comes up with, as you can see, a variety of resources right here. And we're going to go, let me just move this up. Right at the very top you see summer school sessions. And what you see here is grade 5 summer school sessions. I just want to show you that right here on the top you see 5th grade is where we are, but all grade levels K through 8 can be accessed from any one particular grade level, which is good to know. So for grade 5 in the summer session, what we have done is we have these session planning guides to navigate through the Catechist Guide. And so this again is looking at, if I were doing a 2-week model, then this would be 10 sessions that could be spread out over the course of 2 weeks. It could be done in 1 week. It's a lot of content because each one of these sessions, look at the first one, we follow Jesus and witness to him. Each one of the sessions is actually 2 lessons from the Sadlier book. I want to stress they're lessons. There are no, there's no allowance for including the liturgical year lessons. The retreats are not included here. I know that this resource has been updated and it will be coming out soon. I don't think it's going to be very different from what we have. What will be included is some other resources to include the Catholic identity pieces that are now part of our We Believe and We Live Our Faith Catholic Identity Edition. So some additional information, but I think what I'm giving you today will be just as helpful as that. So I'm going to take and let you see what each of these would be. So let's say we're going to do grade 5. What would session 1 look like? So when you click on the session, then you get the Catechist Guide for conducting that first session. And if you can see under session 1 overview, it is chapter 1 and chapter 2 from the book. So it's telling you right at the beginning what it is. It's giving a little overview with keywords. Then you see, oops, the doctrinal content right there, the belief statements that students are going to learn. So there's like a planning guide. And then chapter 2, the same thing. Keywords, belief statements, and references. And the planning guide is very similar to what is in the Teacher Catechist Guide, but you'll see it's been simplified a bit and it's condensed. The lesson format is still the same. The 3 parts to the lesson: we gather, we believe, and we respond. And the we gather is usually a prayer type opportunity. And you'll see as I go through in the planning guide, there's only going to be one we gather. So we're going to pray at the beginning, and then it's going to move through the 2 parts of the lesson. So we have we gather, and then we have we believe, which would be the first lesson in the session. And then we respond, and the project disciple activities and some optional activities right from the book. Then, as you can see, we have we take a break. So there'll be a break period between sessions. And then, again, we go into We Believe with the next lesson. This will be lesson 2. and then we respond, again, project disciple activities, and then we take home. So sharing faith with my family, and that would be a reproducible, these are reproducibles that are available in the book. So that's what each lesson organizer would be for a catechist, 7 pages. So these would need to be printed out, so to make it easier for catechists to access the different parts of the manual, because it's telling you here specifically what pages you're going to do different activities on. We believe the different pages that have the belief statements or the faith statements that you're trying to develop with the students. So all of that will be there. And so I'm going to close out of this and show you that if we went lesson 5, celebrating session 5's Eucharist and praying, this session has lessons 11 and 12 from the student book. So it follows the same pattern. The overview, the planning guide, what activities you could do. So it's helping you to make sure that the core components of the lesson, which are those belief statements, those faith statements, are being addressed. So this is in the resource part of the website, and again, by picking any grade, you can access any other grade from that same page. All right, so this is, all of them are set up the same, a little different grade 7 and 8, and I'll show you that in a moment. So I'm going to get out of here. So what lessons are you going to choose? What Catholic identity retreats might you include as a special activity? As I said, liturgical year lessons are not included in those session guides. All right. So one thing to consider is if you're having everyone gather in a hall before they go to their class sessions, that gathering part might be a time to do something with the liturgical year over the course of your summer program. And that could be a theme. Liturgical year celebrating the life of Christ through our liturgical year, and that could be something that the director or someone, that's their responsibility to do that little mini lesson, quick mini lesson during that gathering part. Grades 7 and 8 is going to be a little bit more challenging because it's organized into 12 days. You'll see that in a minute. Not 10 sessions, 12 sessions. So again, trying to fit it into a summer model. Although I think by looking at the unit themes, you can make some decisions. Okay, and again, those unit planning guides would need to be printed out. So here are some documents. If you, again, stay on the webinar till the end, you'll get your certificate as well as my handouts. This will be part of it. This gives a quick overview from kindergarten through grade 8 at the level, themes, or focus for each grade level. Starting grade 2, obviously, is a focus, reconciliation and Eucharist. And that's a big consideration because for those students, is this going to be the primary model where sacramental preparation will take place? The church, the early church, grade 3. Grade 4, commandments. Grade 5, sacraments. Grade 6, Bible. So there are some focus areas, and I think knowing that, it can help when making some of the decisions of what lessons to include, what lessons you'd want to possibly leave out. So this is what I've done for you for the summer model. This is the introduction. Use your handy session planning guides to navigate, but I have made them a little bit more practical for you, and you'll see in a minute. What I have done is I've taken for those sessions and I've put the 2 lessons that are associated with that session. And then what I have done is in bold, I've indicated if those are priority lessons connected to that grade level focus. All right, so you're going to see that in my next slide here. So here's what you're going to get in the handout. And I've only given some selected ones. For instance, if you look at grade 2 here, I've added some more information for you. So the first session is Jesus and his work, which is lessons 1 and 2. And you can go down, you can see how I've added the lessons. But starting with session 3, going through session 8, you can see the lessons I have put in bold. Those are all the lessons that are the key lessons for preparation for reconciliation and Eucharist at that grade level. So again, if this is going to be a primary instructional opportunity for sacramental preparation, those would be the key lessons you'd have to include. And perhaps using our sacrament books, the parents may be doing something during the school year to support and supplement what took place during the summer model. If you look at grade 5, again, I've listed the session title, the lessons that are associated with it, but if you look down, you can see all the ones in bold are all the lessons that focus on the sacraments, because the grade 5 focus is sacraments. So you want to make sure that you get those in for that grade level. Grade 6 is Bible, the whole book. And what I did in grade 6 is just highlight a number of lessons to try and go through Old Testament to New Testament with some of the key figures in the Bible. Any of those others can be included, but I sort of picked what I felt would be some core lessons to get in Old Testament, New Testament with, creation, prophets, and so forth, events, Exodus and Abraham and things like that. So trying to give the big picture of the Bible, but again, you can fill in more. And then you see grade 7. Grade 7 is a little different. As you can see, there are 12 suggested summer sessions for 7th and 8th grade, which, again, in a 1-week time, it's going to be a lot of content to get in there. So another way you might look at grade 7 is this way, 7 and 8. If you look at grade 7 and 8 and look at what's the unit focus, for instance, grade 7, the first unit talks about God and the Trinity, and you can see the lessons. Unit 2 is about Jesus. 3 is sacraments for the church as the body of Christ. So there are certainly lessons that can be taken from there, or different units could be focus themes for the summer program. And the same for grade 8. Grade 8, the first unit is all about commandments. Again, they had it in 4th grade in depth, and they have it in every grade, but here's another in-depth look at commandments at an 8th grade level. A lot of church history, as you can see. And then the last unit, what does it mean to be Catholic? So again, this would be a different way to look at grade 7 and 8 to try and say, so what should my focus be? What will the lessons be? This is another document that would be in the handout. As I said, all grades K through 8, and we believe and we live our faith, have 4 retreats that are aligned to the 4 pillars of the catechism. And what I have in this sheet is for every grade level in each theme, what's the theme or topic at every grade level? So you can see for under morality, let's say we'll look at that one. Kindergarten is about loving others. Grade 1 is serving others. Grade 2, peace and reconciliation, obviously, the preparation for that sacrament. Repentance, truth, human dignity, witness. Again, as you look down, every grade level has a retreat on morality, but each theme at every grade level is a little bit different with the big picture theme of morality. So you'll get this as well. This can be helpful in looking at what retreats might be selected for all grade levels during the summer program. So a couple of things to remember. Parent information, be clear, be informational, be specific, be nice. And I say that seriously. Convey to parents that this is an effort to try and help to meet demands that everyone has, and that we feel that in this program we will still have a quality program like we might have offered during the school year program for our students, and be very specific about what the expectations for parents are. There can be interactive activities at home And if you tune parents into this, you can provide parents with the Sadlier website and access so that students could go home, and if they did lessons, 3 and 4 on a particular day, if you go to the website again, I'm going to just quickly show you. And if they did lesson 3 today, they can, as a student, choose 3 and my grade level. I'm a student, or we can pick family, and I want activities. So if I go to the website, and here you can see here are games, and we click on Unit 1. And I think I said I did Unit Lesson 3. I can click on Lesson 3. And then there will be interactive games that will come up that will go with the lessons that you just did. So this would be something great to help parents to see. For Catechist, you can print out play games with flashcards, or you can print out flashcards to use in your program. Anyone can do those. Or perhaps you might want a word Scrabble game. Again, looking at content from the lesson that they did. So that's, I think, some good information that you can pass on to parents. The website that they can go in with your child and they can play some games. And let parents know how much you appreciate their support, their cooperation in making it a model of faith formation, successful one. I think thank them, thank your catechists, your helpers. Take advantage of all opportunities to thank people, because I think these are the ones who are key to helping it to be successful. It takes, I think, a number of people. It's not just catechists, but there are other people who help to orchestrate the events and activities that you might use, maybe bring in some musician or someone who could lead a craft activity at a particular grade, or rotate through grades. I think there's a lot of things to think about. So hopefully today, I don't think I've given you a summer program that you can use, but I've hopefully given you a lot of ideas to think about, considerations of things, and using We Believe and We Live Our Faith in the summer model. The online resource you'll find very helpful, and hopefully the additional detail I'm providing in the handout can even get more specific as to what lessons to pick, how to pick a theme perhaps, how to pick a retreat, what would happen at every grade level. So some documents that hopefully can help you in your planning of Sadlier's We Believe, We Live Our Faith Catholic Identity editions in a summer model. And again, keep in mind that we really do want to help our kids during the summer have the same quality program they would have if they were coming on a week-to-week basis. So these resources can help to make that all happen. So I want to thank you all very much for being with us today. I hope this has been helpful, and I'm going to turn this back to Judy right now.
Okay, John, thank you very much. We do have a question here that came up, and they were wondering, how many catechists/helpers do you suggest per grade level if your average class size is 5 students?
If your average class size is 5, again, it could depend upon the program. I think helpers, I think you need, they can be sort of like people that are the go-to people, particularly for the younger grades when it comes time for, you're in a classroom and you have a catechist with, a group of 5 kids, but then, monitoring kids, getting them to the bathrooms or things like this, monitoring during snack time or things like that. 5 is a wonderful number for a class size. And I would, you could probably go a little bit higher. Again, it depends. Some programs, I would, if you're going to have larger classes, then you should have 2 people in the class, the teacher and a helper, just to manage the kids and manage the time with the kids. I don't know if that's if that's helpful or not. I don't know, but 5 is a nice number for catechists. It's going to depend upon how many people sign up to come to a summer program.
John, another question here. Do you think that all 10 sessions can be accomplished in 2 weeks?
Yes, I do. I do. Particularly if you're going to do a half-day session, like a morning session, that's my preference, to be quite honest, because summer's a hard time. I mean, think the lots goes on in the summer, but I think if you had a 9 to 3, and you are spreading out, you have one session, which is 2 lessons, and you try to give some time for that. You want to do an activity, you want to do a retreat, maybe you want to do something in the liturgical year. You put in your snack time, your gathering time, and the time gets eaten away quickly. But think of 2 weeks, 5 days each week, and there are 10 sessions. The only squeezing would have to happen in grades 7 and 8 to get some extra sessions in lessons because of the 12-session format.
John, I also know I've heard people say that having it just as morning session allows the children are better or cooperate more because it's not as long a day.
Oh, I totally agree. I think that's
and
why
particularly for the younger ones.
Absolutely, because think, if you're doing a whole day in 1 week, you're trying to fit in at least 4 lessons, if not more, of teaching time, plus the retreat, plus prayer time, plus a lunch. There's a lot to squeeze in, and I would almost guarantee that in the afternoon the kids are going to be tired. And I think you want optimal learning in a summer program, and I think over a 2-week period it allows you, to draw things out and focus on only a few focus areas or faith statements, belief statements each day, instead of trying to do, 12 of them, which, I have a saying when I was a curriculum director, my saying was less is more, or less is better. And I think it's true. Sometimes we try to do too much, and then in the end we really don't accomplish anything. So by focusing, that's why that handout where I focus, I put in bold the lessons that are key to the theme of that year, and then what other lessons can you add at the time that allows. I think that's what we want to do, is try to make it so that it's doable, and it's, for the catechist, but also for the students, because I think a full day is an awfully long time.
Okay, John, 2 other questions here. The first one is, do children need to have a book for this, or only the catechist? And the other question is, would you do this with grade K and 1? They are still very young.
I do believe students need a book, a resource. I believe the catechist needs a resource to work from. I don't think that they can just teach from a manual without the kids having something to read, without them having to color, highlight words or circle words. Just those project disciple activities where they're putting answers down, different activities within the program. I can't see doing it without a resource, to be completely honest. With kindergarten in grade 1, it depends. I think, again, if it's an option to a school year program, and kids have an option of coming to kindergarten during the school year program, or first grade in the school year program, then I think they should have the option in summer. Might it look a little different for kindergarten? Instead of going from a 9 to 3, it might be a 9 to 10:30. It might be a shortened version. It may not have to be that whole 3 hours, but they're still going to have an opportunity to have the program. In first grade, they're learning in first grade as they are other grades. So I think it's doable to do those grades as well.
Okay. That seems right now to be all the questions. I'll just wait a second here. Yep, that's all of them. So on behalf of Sadlier, I'd like to thank all of you for attending this afternoon. And John, I thank you for a wonderful presentation. As a reminder again, you will be receiving by the end of this week, Monday of next week at the latest, the handouts and also your certificate of participation. We thank you on behalf of Sadlier. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.